Lego games. They are part of a rare group of games that I call safe investments. They are new games, but you know exactly what kind of experience you will get when buying it, aka a safe investment. Back in the day, this group was a lot bigger than it is now and even used to form, to a degree, the front page of gaming in general. Now, things change all the time, and so did gaming. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it has changed into a world that is slowly filling up with elements like confusing genres, overhyped games, stream services, media favoritism, and terrible gambling and company practices. Anyway, Lego games are considered by me as safe investments. Therefore, I was looking forward to the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. Also, I consider myself to be a big fan of Star Wars, and it is safe to say that if it wasn't for Star Wars, I probably wouldn't be here, so that might also be a reason why I was looking forward to this game. As a fan, however, it's not that much fun to be a fan of Star Wars right now, as it is in rough waters. This situation is caused a little bit by Disney, but is mostly caused by the fans themselves. But the way how fans acted was not the reason why I was very careful and suppressed my anticipation for this game. The main reason actually was that in recent years, other franchises that I love slowly disappeared from my safe investment list, and I didn't want Lego games to be next. Yet, while being very careful and suppressing my anticipation for this game a lot, I was still looking forward a lot to this game, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. So let's not waste any more time and see what Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has to offer. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga retells the story of Star Wars in a Lego universe. While it follows the story closely, it does simplify it a lot and put a parody twist on it. Despite all the fun and giggles, the story does still capture the Star Wars feeling really well. It's an overall unique atmosphere that is created, and I would describe it as a mix between cool stuff from Star Wars and a comedy of Legos. In the past there have been a couple of Lego Star Wars games, but also other franchise Lego games. And while the formula proved to be successful in the past, Traveler Tales decided that for this Lego game they would spice things up a little bit. Now, over the years I have played a decent amount of Lego games, and I understand why Traveler Tales wanted to spice things up a little bit again. As over the years the formula started to feel a bit dated. Yeah, they implemented changes over every game, but it was not very noticeable or just very small. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed those games, but I also started to feel the stagnation of Lego games.
But as I mentioned before, I was very careful looking forward to this game, and this is another reason for it. I don't mind changes to games in a longer series, but history shows that when developers start talking about spicing things up or implementing big changes, their games get into a little identity crisis.
I want Lego games to be Lego games and capture that very unique, quirky, simple but very fun design, which they are known for. And I don't want that to be changed into current popular game design just for the sake of spicing things up. Lego games can be changed and even take a more modern approach to its design without selling its soul. The irony, however, is strong here, as in this case we are talking about Star Wars. Just like the movies, this game has a legacy to uphold.
And I'm happy to say that it manages to do so.
The story is very compressed and mostly a parody, but was still very respectful to the movies and showed huge improvements over the previous Lego games. Logically, but unfortunately, the compression and change in design meant that some of my favorite movie moments and levels were skipped or changed. However, the story that was there was good and most importantly, very funny. Characters do speak proper language, which is something some people had a problem with prior to the launch of this game. For them, the problem is easily fixed by turning on mumble modes. Personally, I had not a problem with it. Not only could I quote movie dialogue along with the characters, but the jokes and humor came across just as well, and in some cases even better.
The voice acting itself is a little bit inconsistent, as some characters use lines from the movies while others have complete new dialogue lines spoken by different people than the actors from the movies. But that did not get in the way of the jokes and humor of the game. I mean, I was honestly surprised how funny this game was and how many times I laughed about the most simplest things.
Goofy characters got of course goofier, but even iconic moments and characters couldn't escape the silly and clumsy humor that LEGO games are known for. And on top of that, there were a lot of memes and puns. One thing became clear as I progressed through the game, and that is that the writers definitely did their research on fan favorite jokes and memes. Yet, instead of plagiarizing its jokes and memes from the internet or Reddit, they actually managed to make popular Star Wars jokes and memes their own. Which is a difficult job to do considering the amount of memes and jokes Star Wars has. I mean, there are complete Reddit pages based on just making memes and jokes about Star Wars. But it is exactly why I appreciated the jokes in this game so much, as I could laugh about Star Wars in new ways. Humor is however selective, therefore you might see it as a pro or con that jokes do take up almost all screen time for this iconic story. I was fine with it, but the focus on the jokes brings the mix of cool stuff from Star Wars and the comedy from LEGO out of balance at times. Despite the fact that the story summarizes 9 movies, it is on the shorter end of things. It will only take you roughly 16 to 18 hours to complete it. There are a lot of cutscenes in that playtime, and while they do look fantastic, they did take away some things from me as well. Things I wish I could play or at least have some interactive input with. If you have ever played LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga from 2007, you might remember Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith's first level. The movie opens with the Battle of Coruscant, which in the game was translated to an amazing rail shooter. Such levels were a lot of fun and really cool, but are unfortunately gone and replaced by just cutscenes, which felt like a real loss. The story levels are considerably shorter compared to other LEGO games, which I actually consider to be a plus. I remember from other LEGO games that certain levels can feel like a drag at times. Especially some levels had very long puzzles just to open a door, which took the wind out of your sails. In the Skywalker Saga, the puzzles are pushed to the side and focuses more on action. And when I say push to the side for action, I do mean literally push to the side into the free roam levels. While you progress through the story, you visit all the planets from the movies, which all come with their own sub-area where you can roam around in, explore, do missions and complete puzzles. The puzzles still consist of you building something, standing on pressure plates, platforming and shooting some targets. They are overall very simple, but very fun. Missions are also back in the game, but this time bigger and alright I guess. They are the other big content element in the free roam levels. Missions usually involved in you doing some small tasks, which for the most part are just like the puzzles, very simple, fun and rewarding. You will do missions and puzzles mostly if you want to collect Kyber bricks, characters and vehicles. If you want to go full diehard, you can try to collect everything and earn every achievement. It will take you a long time and is definitely a grind, but it's a fun grind and only requires of you time and determination, not skill. Funny enough, some missions force you to go to other planets and explore them. However, trust me when I say this, you do not need to be forced or encouraged to explore them. Not only does the story mode weave in these free roam levels seamlessly, but these free roam levels themselves are just a lot of fun to explore. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga nailed the idea of exploring the galaxy. Every planet has their own map, which isn't too big, yet filled with a lot of content to do. Every map, every place, every corner offers you a little something new, something different, something rewarding, and most importantly, something fun. This is what I had in mind when they said explore the Star Wars galaxy. Not open, insanely big maps, but instead this semi-open world design with small maps. But especially as a fan, exploring these planets is a lot of fun because you get to basically walk around in the sets of the movies and even get to explore places the movie only slightly touched on. The game is also packed with a lot of details. Details that seem neglectable and not impactful at first glance, but actually carry a lot of weight. Animations in the game are fantastic. They are super smooth, detailed, and perfectly suit Legos. I especially like it that every character feels unique in its animations. They added a lot of details to characters' fighting style, mimicking known moves from the movies. There are also a lot of visual LEGO details, and those details are definitely my favorites. Droids, for example, have this super obvious mold lines that the real-life version also has, and many characters have the trademark text of LEGO on their arm or leg. I always think LEGO games should be a visualization of how we play, or used to play, with LEGOs. We all had our battles and adventures as a kid with our Legos, and our fantasy brought that to life. And when I was playing this game and one of those details popped up, I got that feeling again. Like I was watching a fantasy story brought to life with LEGO toys. It's something really simple, but so powerful, and every time it happened, I enjoyed this game even more. But even with all this exploration and these details, there were some drawbacks here and there as well, and even a big one. Which, if you have played other LEGO games, you know of already. You open up planets to explore as you progress through the story. However, LEGO games divide its characters in classes that can do certain things. Jedis and Sith, for example, can move objects with the Force or cut open a door, while bounty hunters can destroy certain blocks and other classes can only use specific consoles. At the beginning and even halfway through the game, you do not have unlocked all the classes. Therefore, if you try to explore a planet fully early on, you will run into situations where you can't progress in your exploration because you lack a certain class, which can only be unlocked once you reach a certain point in the story mode. This drawback is again known for those who played multiple LEGO games, but if you are not aware of this or can't help yourself and go off and explore your favorite planet, this can ruin the fun a little bit. But just a little. Personally, I hoped with all these new changes that this was the problem that was solved, or at least less problematic. Because again, exploring these planets is fun and you're constantly tempted to do so throughout the whole game. Another big change to the LEGO formula was the combat. Gone are the old days of spamming double jump attacks, and instead we have combo spamming attacks with occasionally a double jump attack. Honestly, the combat still felt very similar as from before and mostly felt like a visual upgrade. Nonetheless, lightsaber duels were amazing, especially during boss battles. You have to dodge out of the way or get into a QTE with the boss itself, which made this battle not only more fun and visually better, but added even a little weight to the battle as well. Again, it might just be a visual upgrade, but it did the trick to make it feel new and fresh. The shooting, however, was still the same cover-based third-person shooter I knew from other titles. There were some changes to it though. Previous games, these moments were very linear and forced in one location. Now most of the game can be played as a third-person shooter with occasional cover spots. Which might sound as something bad, but luckily they found a way to make the shooting fun, and on top of that, the shooting is mostly optional. There's a nice visual gag when it comes to headshots, as they take now 2 shots instead of 1. The first shot is to remove the helmet from the stormtrooper or whatever your enemy is, and the other is to finish the job. But if you fight droids, for example, you can headshot them all you want, because they can easily survive and fight without their heads. I already touched the real shooting levels a little bit, and again, most of them are removed and replaced with cutscenes. But we did get normal space battles instead, and a few real shooter levels. The few real shooter levels that are here are alright. They are a very chaotic, colorful mess where you can just hold the fire button and see everything explode. And space battles are what you would expect them to be. They are also a bit chaotic, but overall a lot of fun. They can get a little bit dull over the long term, as they require barely any skill or attention. As just like with all the other elements in the game, it's just a very simplified version of itself. This element is however the most buggy part, which even after a month of release isn't fixed. Overall, I actually had a lot of crashes playing this game, which was a very first for me. New games do have their rough moments, but here I easily got 6 crashes in one day. And while the game does have a 2-player split screen mode, which makes this game by default better than most, my guesses are that your experience would be even rougher on the PlayStation 4 when playing in split screen. Unfortunately, I can't say that for sure, because I haven't gotten the chance to co-op this game yet. but I can say that in single player this game can crash on almost a regular basis. Personally, my favorite element from LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is that it's a very simplistic and straightforward experience. Therefore, you won't be overwhelmed by what it does. I would even go as far as to say that when it lets go of its simplistic design, the game starts to lose its charm and becomes an annoying struggle of an experience. But I would argue that for most people, this problem is avoided because the game is full with diverse gameplay. Yes, it's a very simplistic and straightforward experience, therefore you won't be overwhelmed by what it does. I would even go as far to say that when it lets go on its simplistic design, the game starts to falter and not only lose its charm but just becomes an unfun struggle to play. Luckily, those moments are rare. The game manages to really hold on to its simplistic design, and that's what made it so great for me. One moment you are playing a third-person shooter, the next a platformer, and then a hack and slash, only to end up in space fighting TIE fighters. And again, because they are so simple and even surface level at times, it's easy to switch between them. Not only that, but the elements that are combined here are very popular elements in gaming today, making this game very accessible for everyone and for kids a good base or stepping stone for other bigger games where similar elements have more depth. As someone like me who likes to have a lot of diversity in the games he plays, this amount of elements and switching between them was great. Barely a dull moment, and overall it was also nice to not having to dive into large depth of complicated systems and elements for a change. For example, this game has a skill tree system, but it almost feels like a mockery of one. There are many games today that boast about having deep skill tree systems and such, yet the skill tree found here is a lot more simple. Yet its impact was more noticeable and more enjoyable to explore compared to the deeper skill trees, because it was so straightforward. Many dubbed LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga as the best LEGO game to date. I wouldn't totally agree with it, because some problems that plagued the series for years now are still unsolved. On the PlayStation 4 this game crashes regularly, and it did remove things that I enjoy a lot in other LEGO games. But I fully agree with everyone else that this game is great. If you like LEGO games and or Star Wars, you should definitely check this game out. It's absolutely great, a fun experience that is relaxing, makes you laugh, and as a Star Wars fan just makes you happy. Yes, its design isn't deep, special or world changing, but that doesn't need to be. Most importantly is that it's fun, and what this game does, it does really well. And I do mean really well. So yeah, a big recommendation from me if you like LEGO games and or Star Wars. Because I think you won't regret it. I certainly didn't. I spent a lot of hours playing it and went as far as getting the Platinum Trophy. Just because I couldn't get enough of it. And now with that all being said, I wish you a good day. May the 4th be with you. And until next time.